but it does kind of bring to mind, I'm thinking of like, when is it not okay? Because it's not to say like there's never a time when a dissenting opinion, like, yeah, I'm kind of curious about that, like pushing us all to be like, for us, for individually, when would it be like, no, now is not the time. I'm gonna actually inhibit your freedom of speech. Like, and I'm realizing like, cause yeah, intellectually, I'm like, oh, heck yeah, let's always have freedom of speech. But I'm thinking of times where I'm like, no, this is no longer okay. Or it's like, you can say whatever you want to say, but if you do, here are going to be the consequences that I'm gonna that are going to happen. I'm thinking about this in terms of like, yeah, yeah, like it can be like everywhere, whether it's like as a therapist, if someone tells me that they're gonna commit suicide, like they have that right to tell me whatever they want to tell me, and here are the consequences that I'm like required by law to uphold. So that's like therapy. But also, if you're in a bar and you go up to someone and you say something crazy about their girlfriend while you're playing pool and it's a gnarly part of town, you can say that. America, yay. Also, you might get stabbed or punched. Um, who knows? So that it's this interesting, like we do have freedom of speech, and yet that doesn't necessarily mean that there aren't going to be consequences to our words, nor that yeah, there should be consequences to
Hmm.
our words.
Yeah, yeah, that gets really really intricate and interesting. And I'm not sure it's something that we could actually delineate and say like this is what it should look like. And I think it will be again more of that muddling through of just people kind of figuring it out. That's actually something I wanted to talk about. So
Mm.
the last
If I,
last
I'm sorry, if I could before we move on, something that just popped in my mind if we're talking about freedom of speech, like I think of the integration of artificial intelligence like ChatGPT, Perplexity, all of these models, and like even in South Park, I mean, it actually did, South Park did it. It's well, ChatGPT told me that I need to divorce you now,
hmm,
and so like who's saying that ChatGPT who's you I know there's
yeah.
some restrictions on politics, but when in regards of like just giving people practical advice, like where is that really coming from? Who's regulating that? Like
Yeah.
how is and I guess you could tweak it a little bit, but again, if we're regulating everybody's tweet on social media, where's any additional regulation on things that we can't necessarily control?
Yeah, that's another crazy layer that's coming in. Um, so that's like the last point I had written down here on point five that we're talking about. I said something we'll have to grapple with moving forward is how much freedom of speech must be a personal and cultural value, not just a government mandate in situations over which the government has purview. And just like Ryan, the example he brought up was something that's I've been thinking about a while. It's kind of a weird example, but there's a there
Let's go.
was there's an artist, a musical artist. I would classify him as like gimmick country music, Trace Adkins,
Mm.
and he has this song called "Fighting Words," and it's all about how, like it's a bar thing, right? If you say something about my flag, my God, or my mama, we're gonna fight. And there's a part, I think it's at the end where he has like he's just like talking and he says, First Amendment, First Amendment protects you from the government. And he's like, "Right, right, right, tough, tough, tough." And like it's silly to be philosophical about Trace Adkins. He makes that clear in his songs. But uh whatever, I'm gonna do it anyways. Uh that song annoys the crap out of me because he opens up, he's like, I'd walk way out of my way. I'm not a fighter. I avoid fights all I can. It's like, well, if you have particular trigger words that you're telling other people that you're gonna like, then you're not someone who doesn't want to fight. Like
Mhm.
that means you are someone who wants to fight. So that's just a load of baloney. And and like, I love the flag, I love America. Well, the First Amendment is pretty dang American. And saying that, oh, that's just for the government. You're just protected from the government. It's like, no, it's a principle. And actually, the government is here to protect me from getting beat up by you because assault is illegal.
Hmm.
So, like,
Hmm.
there's a huge contradiction there of like, I'm going to punch you because you criticized the flag or said something about the flag, um, because I love America so much, but that's not the ideal of America. So, but as much as that annoys me, like you said, Ryan, I don't think there should be no consequences to our words, and there are things that we should value. Also, jumping back, the point is even stronger with my God, because clearly he's invoking Christianity, and like people who say God will not be mocked. Like, yes, that's a quote from the Bible, but in the Bible, God was literally mocked. He came down to earth and endured our mocking for love for us and calls us to do the same. So, you know, anyways, there's a proper application of that and an improper application of that. But to be like, I'm going to fight you because you criticize Christianity, it's like, well, that's not very Christian, actually, very clearly so. And so, anyhow, I think we get quickly into problems when people are saying, well, this is so important to me that even though, yes, you can criticize it, I'm going to make sure there's consequences for it.
Hmm.
At the same time, there shouldn't be no consequences for words. And then there's the problem of the workplace of like, well, yes, you have freedom of speech, but you were screaming at the customer and telling them that they're an evil capitalist while you're selling them coffee. And now they're not coming back. So you're fired because obviously so. Um, so yeah, I don't have like I don't have a systematic answer, an outline of like, this is how it should be. I see the problems that are going on and I'm commenting on them, and that's what I've got.
Hmm.